So, if you have ever tried hormone replacement therapy and had an awful reaction to it, this is for you. So many women I talk to tell me that they're struggling with their weight, they're struggling with their energy, they're struggling with their joint pain, they're struggling with their skin. They hit 40 years old and it feels like the wheels on the bus just fell off. And we are seeing a lot more conversation around BHRT, hormone replacement therapy. BHRT is bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. MHT, menopause hormone therapy. They're really all interchangeable. And I'm happy we're seeing more information on this. I'm happy we're seeing a lot of the myths of the dangers and risks debunked. But unfortunately, a lot of women are reaching for these tools in an effort to help themselves, last-ditch efforts at wit's end. They're asking their doctors for support, and in many cases, they are being put on standard doses or not a personalized protocol and having awful reactions. And so I hear often, I've tried estrogen and I had a bad reaction. I've tried estrogen, it made me feel worse. I've tried hormone replacement therapy and I gained 20 pounds. And so it's easy to see and blame hormone replacement therapy. And in reality, it's never the drug's fault. It's never the supplement's fault. It's generally that we are doing things either in the wrong order or in a time where our body is not ready to receive. So in this video, I want to talk about the common mistakes women are making when getting on hormone replacement therapy and how you can avoid those mistakes and actually have a really good experience. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Jessica Vargas. I'm a functional nutrition practitioner, an insulin resistance solution practitioner, as well as a specialist in menopause and perimenopause, supporting women to just feel better, look better, have a really amazing time throughout this transition. You are arguably in your most busiest time of your life, but also your most blessed. Your kids are growing. Yes, your parents are aging. Your career is likely thriving. It feels like you're holding a lot, and you likely are. But it's also a time where you need your health. You need to feel good. You need to have energy. You need to be able to get up and down off the ground and do things with your kids and go on trips and vacations and not be obliterated by life. So I'm here to help you do that. So let's dive in. I'm a big proponent of doing things in the right order. And that's because doing things not in the right order can cause chaos. It can cause us to feel defeated. And like I said, so many women out there are unfortunately doing HRT in a time where their body is not ready to receive. So when I talk about replacement therapy, there's multiple types of hormone replacement therapy, and I just want to go through that with you right now. And I have notes because I tend to be very verbose. So progesterone only is something that is definitely a tool for you. Progesterone plus estrogen therapy, and then of course testosterone therapy or progesterone, estrogen, and testosterone therapy. And there's different delivery methods and different types of methods for many of these. So progesterone, the method, the type that I recommend my clients to look into is micronized progesterone, which is it's a pill. Actually, I can show you mine, but it's just a little capsule. Many doctors are getting better about prescribing micronized or prometrium, which is a bioidentical progesterone. All that means it's still synthetic, it's made in a lab, but it's chemically adjacent, identical to the progesterone that your body produces. So your body can recognize it and utilize it a lot easier. And also, the risk factors are much less versus a progestin, which is what many of us are used to if we were on Mirena or any pill pack for birth control. Progestin is not bioidentical, and this is where we've seen more health risks, like blood clotting, cardiovascular risks. Many doctors have put women on progestin only, not just for birth control, but to help with heavy flow, PMS, PMDD. So that is not what I want you guys to think about, what I want you to think about is progesterone, micronized progesterone, and ask for bioidentical progesterone. Progesterone is great to help with relaxation. It's an anti-inflammatory hormone, so it's going to be great for sleep. It's going to be great for anxiety. Now, with that said, every woman is unique and different. And again, we're all coming to the table with different genetics, different predispositions. So in some cases, progesterone can induce anxiety. It can induce basically everything that we don't want it to, and basically everything we think we're going to get benefits from it. So um, the dose matters, the timing matters. HRT is very nuanced, and I kind of say what I say to my clients is you kind of have to kiss some frogs. You have to do some trial and error. Sometimes you get it right out of the chute. Many times you don't. And you have to be willing to experiment and advocate when you feel like it's not working for you or you would like a shorter, a smaller dose, a bigger dose. So progesterone, micronized progesterone, is great for women, especially early in perimenopause. So we're talking 35, 40, even 45, that age span. Not most women in that age group they don't need estrogen therapy. And this is where I see things going wrong a lot, especially in women that are like, I tried estrogen and it failed miserably. And these women aren't doing progesterone plus estrogen. They're likely just on estrogen. And early in perimenopause, most women have plenty of estrogen, more or less. And the problem is, early in perimenopause, our estrogen is really variable versus as we get to later, right before menopause. Menopause is 12 full months of not having your period, and your follicle stimulate your FSH, your follicle stimulating hormone is at a certain level for your doctor to say yes, you have officially reached menopause, right? And then your estrogen is extremely stable. So I do see this a lot where many women early in perimenopause likely would benefit just from progesterone only therapy. A lot of doctors aren't talking about this because they're just not educated in it. It's as simple as that. And many doctors rely on lab testing before they give you any type of medication or supplement or pill or whatever. And there's really no good way. Progesterone, yes, but estrogen, no. There's really no good way to test for perimenopause. You really have to go off of qualitative, like the symptoms you're having. And unless you've been through medical menopause, like a hysterectomy, or have ovarian failure, generally, most women have enough estrogen in the early stages of perimenopause where progesterone only therapy would be amazing and life-changing. So that brings me to estrogen therapy. Sorry, before I go on to that, progesterone, yes, micronized capsules. You can also get progesterone creams. So it's absorption rates are different for either delivery method. I believe the capsules, in my opinion, are better. You can also do progesterone vaginal suppositories. So there's different delivery methods that you can try. This is, again, something that you need to be aware of because progesterone does have some side effects for some people. Constipation is probably the biggest one, and grogginess. And so that usually isn't a problem as long as you are taking care of some things that I'm going to talk about later in this video. But you do need to be informed, and I'm here to help you get informed. So estrogen, again, different delivery methods for estrogen and different dosing. Patch is a very popular one. Cream is another. Again, vaginal suppositories are also an option, and capsules or pills. I would avoid capsules and pills because your liver has to process all that. There's many articles. I won't go into it in this particular video. I would say patch or anything transdermal, meaning on the skin, transferring in the skin. Pellets are another one. Not a huge fan of pellets either, because you want to be able to have a smooth delivery system. And I just find pellets and capsules women have more trouble with. If you are on pellets or capsules and you love it, la 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 la, don't listen to me, right? Everybody's going to be different. I'm speaking more to the masses here. And then you have testosterone therapy. Again, different delivery methods. I would say the most popular ones are pellets, creams, and then injections. Injections are getting more popular, but I find women are very scared of needles and it's hard to find doctors to prescribe injections. Mostly it's creams or pellets. Again, you have options here, and I want you to be able to advocate for yourself. Before I move on, though, with the hormone replacement types, if you are going to be on estrogen and you have a uterus and breasts, most doctors will say if you don't have a uterus, you don't have to worry about it, but progesterone protects both the uterine lining and the breast tissue. If you're on estrogen therapy, I would advocate for you to also be on progesterone therapy. You never want to take estrogen by itself. And that's because estrogen is going to promote growth in the body, lining of the uterus. So you want to be able to have that nice balance. You want to be able to have the balance with hormones in your breast tissue. And so having that progesterone, estrogen balance out each other is really important. Even if you don't have a uterus and you have breasts, again, you still want to advocate for yourself to be on both, and you can trial both and see how the body does. So just something to keep in mind. And these are all things, by the way, that I work on one-on-one with my clients. So if you are wanting personalized care, if you're wanting personalized support and guidance, one-on-one care for me is where it would be. And you can always reach out to me in the notes below to see if you'd be the right fit. So before we even consider hormone replacement therapy, now this is the crucial part. This is where I want you to pay attention. There's a non-negotiable trifecta. You want to get your body in the best healing state possible in order to have the best results. Okay. And those three are three areas that when working with women, we do not pass go. This is like Monopoly here. We do not pass go until these three are either being consistently worked on and we're seeing improvements, or we have them dialed down completely. Again, it just depends on the woman, depends on the body, depends on how long you've been dealing with your symptoms. So those three are number one, pooping. And beyond just pooping, detoxification pathways are open. You're pooping, you're sweating, you're breathing heavy, right? You're doing things that allow the body to get toxins and excess hormones that you don't need out of the body. Pooping, though, I would say is the absolutely number one non-negotiable. You have to be pooping every single day, at least one time a day. Now, if you're pooping 4, 5, 6 times a day because you have an IBD or IBS, that's a problem. Okay, so you don't get a gold star because you're crapping your pants 10 times a day. No, you want to be pooping solid Bristol 4-5. If you don't know what Bristol is, it's the Bristol stool chart. Google Bristol stool chart and educate yourself. 1 to 2, maybe 3 times a day, I would say. And it's not like you're running to the bathroom. You're not pushing super hard to get it out. It's nice. It flows. When you wipe, it's not a giant mess. TMI, I know, but we talk about poop in my practice, so you better get used to it if you're thinking about being a one-on-one or a group client with me. So pooping, you have to be pooping. Why? Because we want to be able to detoxify anything in the body, and that includes hormone replacement therapy. Because it's not a perfect science. When you ingest micronized progesterone or you put an estrogen or dermal patch on, your body might not need all of that. Likely it won't. Some weeks it will, some weeks it won't. Some days it will, some days it won't, right? So we're very dynamic human being. We are not static. What your body doesn't need, it wants to be able to excrete. If you're not pooping every single day in a fully evacuated fashion, that is going to cause some issues. So if you're on estrogen, and maybe you don't really need estrogen, maybe you're early in perimenopause, and you maybe poop only once every couple days. Maybe you're constipated slightly, or maybe when you do go, you don't feel like you're evacuating completely. That right there, I could foresee you having a bad reaction to hormone replacement therapy because you're not excreting. You're likely in an estrogen dominant state more often than not. You're adding hormones on top of some weeks where maybe your estrogen is already high. You're also not pooping. It's a perfect poop storm. Okay. You kind of following, hopefully, you're nodding along. The second one is blood sugar stability. And really, I've changed the way I've said this. Now it's talking, I like to talk about being insulin controlled. So I wish I had my visual. Um, I talk a lot about a hormone pyramid. So your hormones are built upon each other. Theoretically, they're all working in concert. It's like an orchestra. But there's dominant hormones that really play louder than others. Your loudest hormones are insulin and cortisol. Okay. If insulin, which is your blood sugar hormone predominantly, and cortisol, which is your stress hormone predominantly, are out of tune, it's going to affect your thyroid hormones, which are going to affect your sex hormones, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. So if you're taking HRT, but your foundation, your insulin and cortisol are rocky, it's like building a house without the foundation there, right? You might see some effects. Some days you'll feel like, oh, I feel great today. I don't know why. And then some days you're like, God, I feel like trash today. I don't know why. And there's no rhyme or reason. The rhythm is off. So we have to make sure that we're living an insulin controlled life. And that is going to look different for every single woman. I can give you tips and tricks and those sort of things. And it's all over my Instagram if you want them. Um, but it's very nuanced because insulin is driven by the sugar in the blood. The sugar in the blood is driven by nutrition. It's driven by your ability to relax. It's driven by your stress resilience. It's driven by your hydration. It's driven by the thoughts that you keep, right? So there's a lot of variables with how your insulin is related in your body. And if you have insulin resistance or too low of insulin production, this all matters. So it's all very individualistic. But the best thing you can do is just make sure that you're eating extremely balanced meals. You're not overdoing your carbohydrates and underdoing your movement, your exercise. You're prioritizing protein, you're prioritizing fiber-rich foods, low in carbs, so non-starchy veggies. And then you're including your carbohydrates intentionally. Your carbs are dissolved and uptook. Your body absorbs them fastest. So they're going to be used for fuel really quickly. But if you have a lot of fuel and not a lot of output, it causes problems. Physically, it makes us gain weight. Physiologically, it causes an excess production of insulin over time, insulin resistance. Your third non-negotiable trifecta is sleep. Sleeping. Sleep, 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 sleep. We hear a lot about sleep. I like to talk about why it's important to sleep, other than so that you don't want to murder your spouse or bite your kid's head off or write that email that you really want to write to that person at work because you're just so sick of them asking the same question again. Other than those things, sleep is going to be extremely important for your brain health. It literally clears the oxidative stress when you sleep at night, and it takes a good 6 to 7 hours to cycle through that. So sleep for brain health, for cognition, for fogginess. Um, Sleep also is the best time where your growth hormone is at its highest, which means fat burning. So if you care at all about the tire around your waist or the lack of tire that you're trying to get rid of around your waist, belly, thighs, hips, all that good stuff as women, yay, you will sleep because your body, that is your prime time fat burning time. Sleep is important for appetite control. So cravings at 3, not being hungry in the morning, those are all signs of dysregulated sleep, which it's like a domino effect. Your sleep's going to affect your leptin and ghrelin, which is your hunger and fullness hormones. It's going to affect your circadian rhythm. That's the ability for you to wake up when the sun rises and not feel like you're exhausted and need to hit snooze 20 times. It's going to, affect your ability to wind down. So if you're wired at night but tired and can't sleep, dysregulation's happening. So we got to get those 3 things humming, or at least seeing improvements before I would ever tell you to consider HRT. Pooping, minimum pooping. There's other detoxification we need to be doing, but minimum pooping 1 to 3 times a day. Fully evacuated, solid Bristol 4 or 5 on that chart. Number 2 is blood sugar stability, aka living an insulin-controlled life. And there's ways to test this. You can't test insulin. You can test insulin on a blood panel, which I have to do. I think I'm going to go tomorrow to check my progress. But you can test your blood sugar. That's one way to do it. And then long-term testing with lab work. And sleep, 7 hours, 8 hours. Being in bed for about 9 full hours is the goal. No, you don't have to be asleep for 9 full hours, but in bed without your phone, maybe a book, as long as it's not like murder mystery where your heart's racing, something that's super boring that makes you fall asleep. So those three things, 99.9, I even say 100% of women that come to me do not have these three things in lockdown. If you're struggling right now with your body, I guarantee you, if you met with me and I dug into the details, I would find cracks in your foundation. So those three things need to be just not perfect, consistently being acknowledged, worked on, optimized. Because your body is dynamic. Things do change. Um, Life is dynamic. I have two kids. I have a full-time career in semiconductors, and I run my nutrition business. Oh, and I have a husband who's like my kid. So I get we're busy, but it is possible to do all of the things when you're doing the right things in the right order. So in order to optimize your eating and exercise efforts, because really this is what it comes down to. Most women in this age group are like, I can't eat any less and I can't exercise any more. Please don't tell me to do that. I would never tell you to eat less. Most of the women I work with, I tell them to eat more of the right things, which helps us eat less of the things that we're running on when we're rushed and making poor choices because we've haven't prepared ourselves, right? So your exercise and nutrition efforts, which I know if you're watching this right now, you're definitely not going through the McDonald's drive-through every single day and you're not having Dairy Queen at night every single night, right? Like I know that you are a woman who is conscious about what you put in your mouth. When you have the foundations in place, when they're sturdy, when they're stable, when they're consistent, when you are aware about them, when you are focused on the things that matter most, which usually means you have to worry less about the things that don't matter. When you work with me, particularly, I help you make sure that you pare down your to-do list and really focus on the things that matter most. Your nutrition and exercise efforts, you will be rewarded by those. So right now you're feeling like I'm doing all the things. I'm eating healthy. I'm reading the labels. I'm moving my body. I'm trying to hit 10K steps a day. I'm going to the workout classes. I still feel like trash. My belly is growing. I don't feel like me, right? But when you do and heal and really focus on those foundations and shore them up, the nutrition and the exercise piece, it comes together and it works. And then when you layer on top of that, the tools like HRT, if your body needs them, it's dare I say magic. It's not magic. It's just doing things in the right order at the right time for your body, your preferences. Um, so I hope that was helpful. I hope that gave you some food for thought. Like, where do you feel like your foundations need some loving? And if you're wanting some expert support, in my one-on-one support, we run a full lab panel, comprehensive lab panel, looking at absolutely everything. We do an entire qualitative assessment. I see what you're eating. I see how it's reacting inside your body. And we put together a personalized blueprint to help you get back to baseline. And let me tell you, this is not like a 20-step blueprint. For many women that come into my practice, the first thing they say is, that's it. Yes, that's it. Because we have to layer, we have to go upstream to fix the downstream. And many times it's very simple shifts, but it's about, again, doing things in the right order at the right time and giving the body enough time and energy space to heal because your body is not, it doesn't need a red light therapy. It doesn't need 20 supplements. It doesn't need that. It needs the space to feel safe and the tools in order to repair. Um, and then you add in the extras, the HRTs, the peptides, the supplements, the red light therapies, the gadgets. Labor Day is coming up. Everybody's telling you about their sales. And those things will supercharge your results if the foundations are shored up. Okay, I appreciate you listening if you stayed for the entire time. And we'll see you in the next one. Take care.